This is Tony, and I'm here today with a special guest, none other than the legendary Miss Freda Payne. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Tony?
I'm doing just fine. I'm doing even better. I'm speaking with you now.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, Miss Payne, you got a career that's lasted more than 6 decades at this point now. If somebody doesn't know you, they probably just been under a rock, I would hope. But you got some new music out now that you have with Johnny Mathis, a new single. So tell me about that.
Well, we recorded this at Capitol Records here in Hollywood, and at Studio A, which is a legendary studio. And I've actually recorded there before.
Okay.
I recorded there in the 70s when I was signed to Capitol Records, and then I recorded there when I did an album back in that was released in 2014, and that was when I was on the Mac Avenue label, which is a jazz label located in Detroit. Yes. And we recorded at Capitol here in Hollywood. Oh. So they came. That was nice. They came to me, and I appreciated that. It was also a big band type album, and featuring a lot of standards and some original songs as well, written by Gretchen Valade and Tom Robinson. So it was really, really great. This latest project, we actually did it last year, but because of the pandemic, things have changed drastically for almost everything, just about. Not everything, but all, the major, theater, entertainment, restaurants, big time restaurants, bars, and any place that just features the gathering of people,
Right.
And I got to tell you something, and I just found this out recently. I went shopping around the Christmas holidays, and I wanted to try on something, like slacks or a dress or whatever and a blouse. And yet you can't try on clothes. And it's like, what? How am I supposed to know if it looks good on me or even if it fits?
Right.
The right size. And they said, well, you have to buy it, pay for it, take it home, or go someplace else and try it on. And then if it's not suitable for you, bring it back and then we'll exchange it and you'll get, the other size that you feel is the better size. So, I got to tell you, I was the other day, I went to a beauty supply place that also sells wigs. Okay. And even I wanted to buy a wig, because I wear my own hair as well.
Right.
But I also wear wigs. And I wanted to try this wig on. And she said, oh, no, you can't try it on. I said, what? But why not? She said, because of COVID. So there you go. Everything has changed. So what has happened is that it's left me, my producer, who is Rodrigo Rios, and also the executive producer, who is the important one, because he's the one that made this possible for us to even go into Capitol, record this with a big band and everything. And that's Michael Getz. Okay. And we all thought that, well, we have to do it ourselves now. This is going to be a project that you have to do your own promotion. Whereas I'm accustomed to years of being with different record labels. I'm accustomed to the record label, pushing, doing the promotion, putting the finance behind it to promote it and to get it played and all that stuff. And so now it's the artist. But then again, I'm not alone. A lot of artists, including big name artists, they have to do the same thing. Yeah, they're like promoting their own stuff. They're like creating their own product, paying for it and promoting it and getting out there and hitting the pavement. And, because one thing about veteran artists, when we do that, our luck is that we do know people. Yes. Some people at the radio station, the program directors, and because you've been out there so long and you've had, maybe at one time you went to a radio station to be interviewed or whatever, or you have known somebody socially, from going to the same events, and the VIP events, and you see people, people get to know you. So that helps a lot too. But at the same time, it's just a whole different world.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Now this new album is of course featuring a number of people, including Johnny Mathis. So who are some of the other people that you're featuring?
Okay, I did all in all, we did 4 duets. I did Johnny, and then I did a duet with Kenny Lattimore.
Okay.
And Kenny Lattimore to me is more current, you know, much more current. He's a young guy, and he's I love his voice. I just love his voice. And what's that hit he had? For You?
For You, yeah.
Yeah, For You. I just love his vocals. And the song we chose was a old Nat King Cole standard called Let There Be Love.
Okay.
And we just did a whole different rendition of it. Actually, it was the arranger. When I got with him, I said, now let's not do just a standard karaoke version arrangement of Let There Be Love. I said, I'm doing this duet with Kenny Lattimore. And he not only can he sing, he's a great vocalist,
yes,
but he's an excellent vocalist and stylist. And he's got a lot of soul and pizzazz. And so I said, put some funk in it. I said, put some, put a little, like blues or jazz. I just told him outright. I said, put some funk in it.
Okay.
And that's what he did. He brought it home. And the arrangement, when you hear it, you'll hear that. It's called Let There Be Love with me and featuring me and Kenny Lattimore. And then I did a duet with a really great female jazz singer. Mm-hmm. And that's Dee Dee Bridgewater.
Oh, yes.
Now, Dee Dee and I actually go back. We go back a long way. Yeah. And that's, I'd like to bring out the fact that I knew Dee Dee even before she did Sophisticated Ladies. Right. And that was in the 80s. And I knew her because, everybody, you kind of know her, everybody, you kind of run into each other. Exactly. And she did the Los Angeles company of Duke Ellington's Sophisticated Ladies. Yeah. I did the Vegas company of Sophisticated Ladies. And also after that, I did about 5 or 6 more companies of Sophisticated Ladies. I became the go-to girl,
yes,
to do the role. But the original role on Broadway went to Phyllis Hyman.
Right.
I really miss because Phyllis, I swear to God, I actually met Phyllis almost at the beginning of her recording career, and she and her Larry Alexander, that was her producer, and at the time it was her significant other as well.
Okay.
Larry Alexander, he's Monty Alexander's brother.
Okay.
And Monty Alexander is a well-known and well-respected jazz pianist. Mm-hmm. And he also is a friend of mine too from way back in the day. So anyway, I met Phyllis, it was like, my God, in the 70s, because I was still married to my ex-husband, Gregory Abbott. And we all went out we all double dated. I remember that. And that's when she brought her album, the first one she did, that first one. And when I played it at my house, and I said to myself, this girl is going place. She's going to be big.
Oh, yeah.
I could just tell, because her vocal style, the intonation of her voice, mm-hmm. She had it all. And her looks, her persona, her aura, everything about her. She's an Amazon. She was like 6'1" or 6'2".
Yeah, she's tall woman.
I know. When I stood next to Phyllis, I felt dwarfed it. And I said, well, yeah, I can see her star rising. Yeah. And it did. But unfortunately, there were other things going on with her that I guess a lot of people weren't aware of. And I just wish more people or somebody close to her could have paid more attention to that and addressed it and got her some help, because that's a big loss. That, to me, that's just a big loss.
Yeah, it is, especially with a voice like the one she had.
Yeah, she had so much more to give. That's all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also in the case of Marvin Gaye, look at that.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at that. That was like they say, it was an accident. Well, it wasn't really an accident. It happened. It was something that happened out of anger with his dad. And but we all wish that it hadn't happened. I remember the day that someone called me to tell me that his father had killed him and he was gone, he was dead. And I just kind of like just collapsed. I just felt like, oh no, this can't be.
Yeah.
But we miss him dearly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A great loss.
Oh, let me finish my thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Johnny, Kenny, Lattimore, Dee Dee Bridgewater. Oh, let me tell you what we did. Okay. Dee Dee and I came up with the idea. I've always wanted to do Doodlin'. Okay. Doodlin' is a song that was originally done as an instrumental, and it was a Horace Silver composition. Okay. And I always wanted to do it. And the lyrics were done, I think, actually done by John Hendricks, and it's another name here. It was two people, but I know that John Hendricks and oh my God, I'm having a senior moment. But anyway, you can go on your Google it and you can check it out if somebody wants to know who the other composer was. But it was John Hendricks and somebody else. But anyway, we did Doodlin' and we did Moanin'.
Okay.
And really, ironically, John Hendricks also did part of the lyrics for Moanin' as well. Okay. And that was originally recorded by Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. Okay. Very famous jazz quartet. Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. Yeah, right, quartet. I mean, no, trio, right?
Okay, trio. Yeah. 3 is
and two. Yeah, and Annie, John Hendricks, Lambert, and Annie Ross. Anyway, I came up with the idea. I started singing Doodlin', and then all of a sudden it came into my head, you know what? Moanin' and Doodlin' are very similar in their structure, their chord structure, and the timing. And so what happened is that I start out singing Moanin', and then Dee Dee comes in singing Doodlin', and then we intersperse it, you know.
Okay, all right.
And Gordon Goodwin is the arranger. Gordon Goodwin. He did the arrangements for all of those, everything. And so we did that. And then the fourth duet is with Kurt Elling. Okay. Kurt Elling is a Grammy Award-winning jazz male vocalist, and he is phenomenal. He's got a great kind of a baritone type voice, and he's a great scatter. You know, because sometimes you can have a vocalist, people who can really sing. I mean, really sing their butt off, but if they have to really do some serious scatting, they can't do it.
They can't, yeah.
They can't, they just don't have that instrument. Yeah. Or let's say they have the instrument, but they don't have that cognitive thing. It's almost, somebody described it once. A critic said that scatting was almost kind of related to speaking in tongue.
Yeah.
I got to agree. Because you don't plan it. You know, you don't like sit down and do it by rote.
Right.
Now, some people, let's say if it's a certain arrangement or if it's a certain scat that you've done so many times and you've like fixed upon what works the best, you can repeat it. But really, people who really scat, they can just change the whole thing up. You can just change it all up. You can just, It's almost like a spiritual thing. You just get on another channel and then you just go from there.
Yeah.
I'm bored with this. I'm not going to do it like that anymore. I'm going to do something else. So that's what it is. And I scat too, by the way.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I aside from being an R&B singer, soul singer, pop singer, I'm really a jazz singer at heart, and that's my story. I've done Ella Fitzgerald, not just a tribute as a concert, one woman concert in clubs and performing arts centers, but I've played Ella on stage, at a legitimate theater. I've done Ella in legitimate theater with costume, padded clothes, short wigs. in the whole bit. And the book, the play is called Ella Fitzgerald, First Lady of Song. The book was done, the book was done by Lee Summers.
Okay.
And it was directed and choreographed by Maurice Hines. As a matter of fact, I've done it 3 times. And Maurice is the one who always called me. He said, Freda, you're my first call. I actually did a tour of Jelly's Last Jam with Maurice back in 1995. And Maurice Hines was the star. He played Jelly Roll Morton.
Okay.
And he played Jelly Roll Morton, and Savion Glover played Jelly Roll Morton as a boy.
Okay.
And Savion, is like he's really like one of the greatest tap dancers that we have in the world right now. Mm-hmm. Not the country, but the world. Yeah. And Savion actually he's a child actor and tap dancer. Mm-hmm. So he's done a lot of work. And he did the Jelly's Last Jam was debuted here in LA at the Mark Taper Forum Theater at the Music Center right here in LA. And I was in it. I had a role. My role was Grand Mimi, and that was Jelly Roll's grandmother. Right. When he was a boy. And we performed it here in LA, and then it went on to Broadway. Oh, by the way, the person that played Jelly Roll here in LA was Oba Babatunde.
Oh yeah, great actor.
Yeah, the great actor. And I've worked with Oba a few times.
Yeah, he's a great.
A few, not just one time, a few times. And I had worked with Oba in another show called The Blues in the Night. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I worked with him. And then right after that, he went on to headline and to play the role of Jelly Roll Morton at the Mark Taper, and with George C. Wolfe directing.
Wow.
George C. Wolfe directed it, and I played that's when I started playing Grand Mimi in Jelly's Last Jam. And of course, Savion at the time, he wasn't even 21 yet, when we did it. And then it went on to Broadway, won several Tonys for Gregory Hines. Gregory Hines played the role on Broadway.
Yeah, another great.
Keith David played the chimney man. Keith David, he's been working forever doing movies, Broadway, TV, voiceovers. And it went on to Broadway. And of course, Tanya Pinkins won a Tony as well for Best Actress in a Musical. And Gregory Hines won it for Best Actor in a Musical. There were other Tony Awards given out at that time. And then after the Broadway run finished, they did what they call the national company, the first and the only national company. And they got Maurice to do the Jelly Roll Morton role. So that's Gregory Hines' brother. So Maurice Hines did it on the road, the national company, as well as I did it, and Savion Glover. Oh. So there you go. And we were on the road for a year. Mm. That was a long tour, a year. You don't see those happen anymore now.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, you don't see any shows happening now. So
that is indeed true. That is true. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about before we go into the acting part, I want to talk some more about music. Of course, you've been here a while doing this thing, and I'm glad you mentioned jazz, because that is like your base. I know Ella Fitzgerald, somebody that inspired you, and of course you work with Pearl Bailey, amongst others, including Duke Ellington and a lot of others greats. How important is it for you to return to jazz, since that is pretty much your standard type of music?
Yeah, well, I consider it's just a part of my ability to be able to do something more than just one thing.
Okay.
Some people can only do one genre or one type of music.
Right.
But they do it well, and they become successful and well known by doing it well.
Yeah.
But that's all they can do. They need to just do that.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's all right. But I look at it this way. I figure, well, there's so many people coming, let's say behind me, when I say the younger artists, I'm a senior citizen now, you know, I'm not getting younger, but at the same time, there's so many new, there's always somebody new. They say the new girl on the block.
Yeah.
There's always somebody new. There's always a new singer, another singer, and they're young and beautiful, and in some cases talented. So my attitude is like, I can't keep doing this, you know, forever. You know, I can always, you know, I say I need to like diversify and let's say reinvent myself and keep going. That's how you stay relevant. And in the business, you have to like reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, why not do something that I love already and something that I know I can do well because I've done it before and I have more expertise in that area.
Right.
In doing that. So it all worked out like that.
Okay. Of course, like I said, when you first started out, after The Lights Go Down Low, that first album, I don't think that people realized until later that you really were pretty much a jazz singer. You could do anything, which is a great thing, like you said, because it helps you stay relevant. But jazz is like, you know, it's at home for you. So talk to me about how you got interested in jazz music, period.
Well, first of all, before I even talk about that, I have to give my respect to the R&B and pop world and my experience in working with HDH, which is Holland, Dozier, and Holland, from Motown. Now, me being from Detroit, and a lot of people automatically think, oh, you're from Detroit, you're a Motown artist, you know. And I'll say, well, you know what? I could have been a Motown artist, and I almost was a Motown artist, but it just wasn't in the cards. Okay. And I'll tell you, if you want to know that, I'll tell you that story later on. But you asking me, like I'm just giving credit where credit's due, because it's actually, it's sort of like, when I recorded Band of Gold and Bring the Boys Home on the Invictus label with HDH, that's what really brought me out into this, really into this the big spotlight, right, internationally. Right. So I cannot ever forget that, and know that I can do that. I can do that too. That's and right. I did it. But you know, it's all in your attitude, how you perform. It's in your attitude. But how I came to be in jazz is that as a kid, as almost a child, because when I was 12, I think it started when I was about 11 and 12. I'd say 12. I used to listen to the radio. And when my mother thought I'd gone to bed at night, there was a radio that I had in my room, and it was right over my head. I remember now. Like right over, well, you know, that's how it was. Yeah. And I would turn it on real low at night, and I'd listen to a station, because I would listen to I would listen to like the pop stations, and there wasn't any at that time. This was before Motown. Right. Before, there wasn't that much great R&B music. I didn't think so. You know, now and then I'd hear something that I liked. Yeah. And I said, okay, this is cool, you know. And then I would say, and then something else would come on behind it. And I said, oh no, that's not so cool, you know. And then I turned the channel, I would move the dial, and finally I found this station, and they played like, it was like Chet Baker, it was like Ella Fitzgerald, it was like Chris Connor, June Christie, Carmen McRae, Dizzy Gillespie, Miles Davis. And I discovered that my ear was more in tune to that. And that being because when I was 4 and 5 years old, I had an uncle. He passed away when I was 9, by the way. I had an uncle, his name was Uncle Johnny. He was my mother's brother, her only sibling, by the way. And Uncle Johnny had a record collection of Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Lionel Hampton. He also had classical records too, like Tchaikovsky, Serge Rachmaninoff, Bach. And I would listen to all of that. You know, I was just listening. I was like I was hungry. It was like feeding my brain.
Yeah.
And I just listened to that. I said, well, this is what Uncle Johnny's buying and what he's playing. I said, it must be good. So I'm going to listen to this.
Right.
And I enjoyed it all. It tickled my intellect, my little child baby intellect. And when I started hearing this music on the radio at the age of 12, I guess I said, oh, this music has melody, you know, the vocals are really nice, you know, and I just drifted towards that.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I turned 13, I got turned on to Miles's album, Sketches of Spain. And that blew my mind. Mm-hmm. It blew my mind. It really did. And then I got into Billie Holiday.
Yes.
And we got the only album we ever, back then when I was like 13 and 14, the only Billie Holiday album we ever bought was that Lady in Satin.
Yes.
And she's on the cover with, she had a satin gown on. I think it was kind of like, I remember kind of bluish or like lavender or something. And her hair pulled back in a classic ponytail. And that was a nice, by the way, I think it was all ballads, and it was like with the orchestra and strings. And we really listened. My sister and I both, you know, Sherry, who's also a singer, by the way. And we would listen to that. We fell in love with that album. As well, another singer we loved was Gloria Lynn. Mm. Gloria Lynn, we loved her as well. I think I got turned on to her like when I got to be about 15 or 16 years old. And then I got to meet her years later, and she was always one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, yeah.
As well as Sarah Vaughan, of course, Ella.
Of course.
Ella, yeah.
Yeah, that's you know, you really have a rich history in this business, from acting to singing to pretty much doing everything, including a talk show host. I remember you understudying for Leslie Uggams in the Broadway Hallelujah Baby. So how did that situation happen?
Well, I was living in New York at the time, and I had a roommate. Because back then, you know, it was I never really wanted to take on an apartment and sign a lease by myself altogether. Because I think having a roommate was also a safety measure, as well as sharing the expenses. So it made it more economical, you know, to live there. And compared to what the prices back then, if you were to hear, I mean, back then compared to what prices are now, it's a joke. So I didn't want to go into it. You know, you probably are, you know, most people are aware of that. But anyway, her name was Sandra Mcpherson. She was a dancer, and she was working in Hallelujah Baby. She was one of the original dancers. And she was working in it, and she kept telling me, you know what? The lady who's Leslie's understudy right now is going to leave the show because she just got booked to do Hello, Dolly on Broadway. And that was the version with Pearl Bailey.
Right.
And Cab Calloway.
Right.
And so they were looking to audition singers and actresses to replace Emily Yancey. Emily Yancey was the one who I'm speaking of. And so she went on to do Hello, Dolly, but I auditioned for it. And at first I didn't get it because I guess they loved my vocals. They loved my voice, but they said, oh, well, they chose a girl by the name of Norma Donaldson, and Norma did it, but she never went. Well, I'll put it this way. She didn't stay long. They allowed her to go on one night. And by the time the intermission came, they called Leslie to come back in. And that's what happened. So they held the audition again. They called me, and I got to friend of ours, of Sandy's, was Billy D. Williams.
Okay.
And she said, Freda, I'm going to get Billy D to come and read with you so that you win this audition, you get the job. And so Billy came to our apartment, and he kind of coached me, and we read lines together. And Billy was already he was the standby for Robert Hooks. Robert Hooks was the male star.
Right.
And Robert Hooks was doing 2 gigs at one time. He was doing the Hallelujah Baby on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the day, he was doing NYPD.
Yes.
Yeah, NYPD, Law and Order. And this was when it was, I remember it was in black and white, because they hadn't even switched to color yet. And with Carl Malden. And so Robert Hooks was like a big star.
Yeah, yeah.
And Billy D was his stand-in. Like when he couldn't, let's say if he, like Billy D would do the matinees.
Okay.
So Billy worked with me that one night, read lines with me. And the next day I auditioned, and they hired me on the spot.
Mm.
And so 3 weeks after being officially hired, they said, you're going to go on. I went on, and I got a standing ovation.
All right.
I got a standing ovation. And then I did it 5 more times after that. Mm-hmm. So I got to do a lead role in a Broadway show, and I did go on Broadway 6 times. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching a clip of you on American Bandstand, and Dick Clark asked you about, why did you love Broadway so much? And you pretty much said it's just in your blood. It's just what it is.
Right.
But what was keeping you determined to go on Broadway, and to be an actress, period? Because singing, okay, I can see it because you and your sister sing. But what was keeping you determined to go and act as well?
Because that's an extension. That's part of it.
Okay.
That's part of it. It's sort of like, well, if you can sing, and you've conquered that, then acting is sort of like a natural.
Right.
It's like, why not?
That's right.
And as you know, there are a lot of people who are actors and actresses who are singers.
Yes.
Who were singers who are now acting almost exclusively now.
Yeah. Somebody that comes to mind is like Jamie Foxx for me, because he pretty much did it all, and going from comedy to singing to acting. So yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, he's multi-talented all around. And another actress I can point out right now who's current, she's in that drama on TV. It's called This Is Us.
Uh-huh.
This Is Us. That's the one with Sterling Brown.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I love him, by the way. He is so good. He was, wow. Anyway, Mandy Moore.
Okay.
She's one of the lead actors in that series. And she plays the wife and Sterling's mother, like his, adopted mother.
Right.
And she's a singer.
Mm.
And now she's an actress on television.
I think now it's becoming even more of a thing too, as we starting to see, because you see a lot of the Broadway people transition, or singers transition, like Jennifer Hudson, for instance, singing, and now she's in a lot of Broadway and movies and different things like that too. So.
Oh, her career is really blown up,
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is how she had that tragedy where her mother and her nephew and her sister, 3 people were murdered.
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of like a terrible price to pay.
Right.
But she went on after that. She recovered, and she went on, and now she's a superstar.
Yeah, she is. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, she's going to be starring in the new Aretha Franklin movie as well.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes.
I can't wait to see it, because I know she'll blow it away. She'll really, I know it's going to be really good.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm waiting myself because I'm almost on the edge of the chair because they switched the premiere date from one date to another now, so they pushed it back because of the virus. So
yeah, yeah.
We shall.
Well, is that going to be an HBO or?
I think it might be because I'm seeing a lot of the new releases that's coming on the that they're playing the ads for. So they're saying it's going in theaters and HBO Max. So I think they might do the same with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I hope so.
I know. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So of course with your music though, you had those first two albums in the 60s, and then the next recordings you had were after you signed with Invictus, which is HDH label. Band of Gold came in around 1970, I want to say.
It was 1970. That was the year.
Okay. Then that was pretty much, the big blowout single for you.
Right.
You that took you everywhere pretty much. That you hadn't went already because you were already traveling and recording. So
yeah,
that single really opened you up to the pop world, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But was it
and R&B?
Yeah. Was it pressure for you, though, after that single to come up with something just as big?
Well, yeah. Well, it was the record people and HDH. They concentrated on getting me another. They wanted to keep the hits coming,
Right.
So the second single that came out after Band of Gold was Deeper and Deeper.
Yes.
And that was a moderate hit. It didn't do as well as Band of Gold, but it was moderate. And then they said, no, we got to get something. So they were working hard and trying to find another song that was going to really chart and go all the way. And they came up with Bring the Boys Home.
Yes.
Yeah, Bring the Boys Home. So they played it for me in the offices of the Invictus in Detroit. Mm-hmm. And I just said, this song brought tears to my eyes. I said, I want to record this. They said, yeah, you're gonna record it. Yeah.
But I think that was part of the reason. I think Band of Gold, I would say, was part of the reason that a lot of people thought you were a Motown artist, even though you were never signed to Motown, because it had the Funk Brothers on it, and it had HDH, who of course were Motown writers previously.
Right.
So
that's why a lot of people automatically just assume, like, yeah, HDH produced you. They wrote the songs and produced you. You got to be a Motown artist. And as a matter of fact, I've actually been on tour in the UK, over in England. Actually, the show was billed as a Motown show.
Yeah.
And but nobody cares, And then again, Berry Gordy Jr., he never says anything. I mean, doesn't bother him. I mean, he's okay with it. Because in a way, they kind of, the Gordys, I know all of them. And Berry, I run into him all the time. And of course, Iris Gordy, his niece.
Right.
We're good friends. And they consider me like family. It's sort of like, I'm from Detroit and we all know each other. And whatever happened back then, why you never signed, that's been, I think it's been overlooked. Nobody holds grudges or anything like that. So.
Right.
And
right.
I don't either. I feel like, of course, people always ask me, what if you had signed? I said, you know what? I'll never know what if. All I know is that I still did okay. I still made it. It wasn't like I didn't, I just, disappeared or nothing ever happened with my career. I still succeeded. And some people think, well, maybe you could have even been bigger. No. You would have been like Diana Ross. I said, yeah, but only, I started to say something kind of risque.
Look, I understand.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like they say, only one king can rule the house, can rule the castle.
Yeah. But it's true.
One queen.
It's true, though. It's true.
Yeah, but no, Berry, everything worked out for Berry, because Dinah was the one. Yeah, she was the goose that laid the golden egg. So I'll just leave it like that.
Okay. But of course, though, it just seemed like it went together with that people would think you were with Motown. And two, you good friends with Mary Wilson from the Supremes.
Yeah, we're very good friends.
And Sherry went over to sing with the Supremes, and of course,
right.
Say with the Partners album. So it just seemed like it went together. I think they think everybody from Detroit ought to be with Motown.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I talked to Shirley Jones from the Jones Girls, and that was something we were talking about as well, because they didn't sign with Motown; they signed with Gamble and Huff. And it's they always think, well, when you say I'm from Detroit, it's like, why not Motown?
Right. Well, can I tell you something? Gamble and Huff wanted me. This was after I left Invictus, and this was around 1973, 74.
Okay.
And I had to decide whether I was going to go with Capitol Records or Philadelphia International, because Gamble and Huff were courting me. They wanted me. They wanted me. Yeah. I had to decide between them, and I went with Capitol. And now when I think back on it, being a wiser person that I am now, I think I should have gone with Gamble and Huff.
Yeah,
I should have gone with Gamble and Huff. I really do.
Yeah. At the time, though, what made you go with Capitol? Were they offering you more money or something?
Yeah, that's it. They were offering more money, and then at the time I had a lawyer / manager lawyer, and he was saying, well, Capitol is like a huge conglomerate, and they're offering you a better deal, lucratively, and maybe this is the better company to go with. And I kind of figured, well, I wanted to be with Gamble and Huff, I really did, but at the same time I was listening to my lawyer, and what he was saying. So there you go.
It happens the way it should, though, anyway. So I don't think anything is by accident. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. But of course, while you were with Invictus, though, you recorded a few albums. Band of Gold, like we said, was the big single. But that for years, that song has had different interpretations about what was meant of the story. So when you first heard it, what did you think the song meant or the story was for?
Well, I heard what I understood what it meant. Okay. As a matter of fact, I questioned it. I said, wait a minute. When I got to the line, but that night on a honeymoon, we stayed in separate rooms. I said, wait a minute. I said, I'm a grown woman in my 20s. By that time, I was in my late 20s. And I said, why would a girl on her wedding night, stay in separate rooms or allow that to happen? Something's wrong. I said, I wouldn't do that. And I said, this song is very adolescent. This is a song for a young, kind of like a young teeny bopper. I said, this is like a teeny bopper type lyric, like if I were 16 or 17 or 18 years old. Mm-hmm. And so, not that I wasn't going to say reject it, but I was just questioning the lyric. And so the guy who was working with me at the time was Ronald Dunbar. And he was the one kind of like, playing the track and saying, here are the lyrics, let's go over it. And I said, I don't know if I want to do this song. It's too adolescent. He said, don't worry about it. You don't have to like it. Just sing it. So I said, okay. It was just like that. Okay.
Do you think after the success of that song, though, that people probably misunderstood you in a way musically?
Yeah, because after that song became such a big hit, people expected all of that kind of song. I mean, when I performed in clubs or theaters, they expected more of that. Like, that's all you're going to do is like R&B, pop, R&B, pop. And I was a little bit more sophisticated, I did, I didn't like try to do like a lot of jazz back then, but I kind of I was like middle of the road. My show would be kind of middle of the road-ish.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do. One thing I will say though, I do appreciate the albums that you did with HDH because it showed your versatility. But it's like don't stick me in a box because I can do multiple things. I can't just do Band of Gogh all the time.
Right.
But I think one of my favorites from you is Pain and Pleasure. That album I think was one of the best.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to choose, would you have a favorite album of your own?
Well, Pain and Pleasure for back then.
Yeah.
Would it be one of them? And then after that, I did. Oh, you're talking about Pain and Pleasure. That's the one I did on ABC. That wasn't Holland, Dozier and Holland.
Oh, it wasn't? You're
talking about Contact. Are you talking about Contact?
No, not Contact. It's wait, let me see what year it was.
Was that the one? It came out in 74, 75? So. Pain and Pleasure.
Yeah.
Pain and Pleasure. It says it was produced by McKinley Jackson, but in actuality, it was Lamont Dozier who produced it. And it was on ABC. It was on ABC.
Yeah, I see that. You're right. That is.
Yeah, Pain. That was one of my favorite in every aspect, arrangement-wise, vocal-wise, and arrangement-wise. That was one of my best.
Yes.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why my mind went back to Contact. Yeah, but no, but Pain and Pleasure was was even, I think, even better than that one. And Contact, I got nominated twice for that. Like I was best Contact. I got nominated for a Grammy, best R&B female vocalist.
Mm. I couldn't really understand though. Is that you had a tremendous career, you had impeccable records, you have a voice, you a beautiful woman. I couldn't understand, and a lot of people say that you're underrated. I couldn't understand though why you weren't bigger than you were at the time, because it's almost like what happened. I don't think maybe you can answer, but you probably can't. But I just didn't get that part though, because it's like you had everything there.
Yeah, I know. I can't, I just have to say, some people have a better organization behind them. I guess maybe I just didn't have the right management or the right people representing me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess. But you know what? The good thing about it is that you're still here and you're still singing. You still have your voice, which is a beautiful voice. Like I said, I really hope that people take the time to go and listen to some of those old albums just as well as the new one you're going to release. Because you singing that jazz, it really takes you back to a special place or a time, remind you of people like Ella Fitzgerald. And we really don't have a lot of people to do that right now.
Yeah, I know but there's always somebody new coming along.
Yeah.
And they pick up the torch and they carry it on. So
yeah,
there's this girl when I say somebody new, mm-hmm. that's just gotten hitting the scene, and she's getting a lot of attention. Shayla. Shayla. You don't even know.
I'm trying to. It sounds like the name is familiar. I'm trying to see.
Yeah. Well, Quincy has endorsed her.
Oh, okay. I know you're talking about.
And David Foster has endorsed her.
She was in the Clark Sisters movie.
She was?
Yeah, I think that's the same one. I believe she's the same one.
Oh, her name is Shayla.
Yeah, I think it's the same person. Hold on. Let me see. Clark Sisters.
Yeah, there was recently I think it was on PBS,
mm-hmm.
Special, where they featured her in concert, and they had David Foster and Quincy Jones introducing her.
Shalea Frazier. That's it.
Shalea. Yeah, Shalea.
Yeah, she was in the Clark Sister movie too, though. But that is her.
I didn't even know that. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, she is awesome. She played Dorinda Clark Cole in the movie. Yeah, and she did a phenomenal job though. So I knew the name sounded familiar.
Yeah.
But yes, it's awesome. But let's talk about your career a little more. I know in the 80s you had your own talk show called Today's Black Women.
Right.
How did that come about for you?
Well, at the time, this was in 81 and 82. At the time, I was being managed by a guy by the name of Charles Huggins. Charles was managing Melba Moore, they were married.
Yeah.
And her career was really, at that point was really thriving as well. And he said, Freda, the people who were producing the show approached Charles about Melba doing that. And at the time, I think Melba, she had so many bookings that she didn't have really time to do that show. Right. So he said, you know what? He said, do you think you might be interested in doing it? And he said, I'll pitch it to the producers. And so he did. And so I had a meeting with them, and they booked me to be the host for that show, the hostess rather for that show. Today's Black Woman. It was produced, and we aired it out of New York and Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And then we did it on location here in LA, and it was in my home.
Okay.
My home. I lived on Blue Jay Way up in the Hollywood Hills. And I don't live there now. I owned that property for like 38 years, and I lived there for many of those years. So I'm still in LA. I'm in the Valley now.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Melba, though. I'm going to talk to Melba next week, matter of fact, on here. So she's a very lovely lady.
She is.
But in the 80s, you had that show, but you didn't do a lot of recording. I know you did the single In Motion, I think it was.
In Motion, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't do full-length albums that much in the 80s. So what was going on then? Was it like a break for you or what?
It was just what they call a period where, it just wasn't, it was like a cold period. I'll put it that way. Okay. But I did a lot of other things. I did more touring.
Yeah.
I was busy, stayed busy during the 80s. Mm-hmm. I did a lot. That's when I did a lot more Duke Ellington Sophisticated Lady tours, okay. All over the country. And of course, Today's Black Woman, that was in 81 and 82. I did it for 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I interviewed people like Jesse Jackson, Shirley Chisholm, Maya Angelou, Vernon Jordan, and then we did other subject matter, like community things, or things that like something of interest, like the Broadway theater, and I did a whole segment on the case about rape,
right,
all that, stuff like that, just
social issues, stuff. Yeah.
This was social issues. So this was before Oprah came on the scene. And I could, if I had really wanted to stick with that, I would have fought harder to do it. But at the time, I was doing it, but my heart wasn't really in it. I said to myself, if Barbara Walters could sing, she wouldn't be a talk show person. She would. So my heart was about wanting to be on the stage, to be on the stage.
Yeah.
But I could do something like that again now.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome because it's not like you're new to it and you know exactly what you're doing already. So.
Right. And then again, when you have a talk show, and this was just once a week, look at the people who were doing it like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have a life.
That's right.
It's like going to college And you gotta, you know, you study it every night. You're reading people, you know, the breakdown, and if somebody has a book out or whatever, you're reading their resume and some of the book, and you got to be up on it so that you can have a meaningful and intelligent discussion, other than, you know, just asking questions.
Right.
And so it's more than a notion. Like I remember Oprah saying, you remember that time when she had Harpo in Chicago?
Oh yes.
The studio. Yeah. And she said sometimes she sleeps there because her job, she has no time for anything else but the show.
Yeah.
You know,
it is a lot
show.
of demand. It's a big demand, especially when you say
a big demand.
5 days a week, or you know, sometimes maybe even more, but those take a long hours and a lot of days. So
right.
As far as music though, in the 80s, you said it was a cold period for you. I know a lot of artists said disco kind of like knocked them out of the box with a lot of the things they were doing. Was that something that, you know, kind of pushed you away as well?
A little bit. Even though my last recordings on Capitol, I did some disco type arrangements as well. Okay. And but it was beginning to get more and more. And that's what, you're right. That's what happened.
Okay.
It, you know, with Gloria Gaynor came in with I Will Survive.
Yeah.
And then Donna Summer came in with I Love to Love You, Baby. Yeah. And all this. And it was like, okay, like a new girl is in town.
Yeah.
You know, so so that's why I moved on brought to the theater. That's why I started doing more theater.
I always thought that the song Love Hangover that Miss Ross did would have been a good song for you, though, just because of your voice. I thought it was an awesome song for you. But yeah, disco really brought usher in a new era.
Yeah. You know, it's 5 after 1.
Uh-oh.
And I'm supposed to be doing another Zoom.
Uh-oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, then let's close up and just remind people what's the name of the new album that we're going to be releasing.
Okay, you know, it's going to be EP because it's only going to, I think we're going to either have, it's definitely 5 cuts. Okay. And we may have 6 or 7 cuts on it, but we haven't. It might. I think the title will be "Let There Be Love."
Okay, that sounds.
Let There Be Love. That's a good title.
Okay, sounds good. And I know you also have a new acting role in a Netflix series. I believe it is.
Oh yeah, I just did it. Over at Paramount Studios for Netflix. Okay. And this is called Family Reunion.
All right.
Family Reunion, and Loretta Devine and Richard Roundtree are the 2 stars.
Okay.
And it's a sitcom. It's a comedy sitcom. It's sort of like Blackish.
Yes, you know?
Yes. Yeah, it's a Black family, and Richard Roundtree plays the grandfather, and Loretta is the grandmother. And they have, you know, their kids, and their kids have their kids.
Right.
And so it's fun. It's really funny. It's really funny. So I just had a little part that I did, and I had fun doing it. So that was, that's gonna. I think it might. I can't right now. They haven't been able to tell me the airing date, but it's gonna be on. It's Netflix. So you go if you have Netflix, just scroll down till you see Family Reunion.
Okay, sounds good. And do we have a release date for the album yet or not yet?
It's going to be not yet, but I surmise it will be sometime in March.
Okay.
Sometime in March, yeah.
But you do, just for you all who might be listening to this or watching this later, the single with Johnny Mathis is out already on digital outlets, okay?
Right.
Okay,
and that's called
They Can't Take That Away From Me.
They can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Miss Freda, I thank you so very much for doing this. I really appreciate you, and you got to come back again soon so we can talk more about your.
Oh yeah, and we can talk maybe longer. You know, I just happen to have 2 things booked. Yeah.
But thank you so much. And before you go, though, do you know your social sites, your social media sites?
Oh yeah, I have my website is www.iamfredapayne.
Okay.
That's www.iamfredapayne. And of course, I have Facebook.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. And what else is there? Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. You don't have Twitter, right?
Oh, I have Twitter. I have Twitter, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Tweet.
Okay. Well.
And I'm on. They can get. They can't take that away from me on Spotify, on I'm Amazon, iTunes,
Apple Music, all
Pandora, Apple Music, yeah, all that, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, like I said, please come back and visit me soon so we can talk about the new album.
Okay.
And please stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
Okay. Same to you. You stay safe and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.